Hi everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Narcissu. I am, as always, your incredibly handsome host, DAVideo, and in the last part, we just got to a part where the main character, the protagonist, I'm going to call him DAVideo, was running away. He's going to Station B instead of Station A because he's on his way out and he's afraid of dying, which makes sense because he's in the hospital a lot. He was just told that he's going to die, and he's meeting a girl named Satsuni. I think that's it, some kind of Japanese name. I'm sorry if you're Japanese, but I don't understand your names. I can't speak them. So, yeah, that was what happened in the last part. We're about to get back into the story, so I hope you guys are ready for a fantastic story, because here we go. Alright. It wasn't like I was planning on running away. The 7th floor, or home, there was no one who died outside of these two. Before that was what I heard. And it also seemed that the girl called Satsumi had gone many times to a Station B. That was why, for no real reason, I simply felt like I wanted to go. See that place, just once. It's not like there are guards around. Even so, us residents of the 7th floor were different from other admitted patients. While also thinking about the just maybe, I continued walking on the street to the early morning station area. Glancing at hurrying commuters and people going to school, I slowly moved on at a measured pace. After walking a while, taking about 25 minutes, I finally arrived before the station. In terms of bus stops, it was about 4's distance. In a way, there's quite a bit of people around. That was the first impression upon seeing Station B. Because my clothes were pajamas, I stood out somewhat. However, if just like that, I bought a train ticket without a single problem. I felt I could go anywhere in the world. Why was it not Station A but this Station B that was recommended? I didn't know. However, if one were planning to run away, I thought it was a simple thing. Certainly the girl was also supposed to have come many times, but why was it that she still remained on the 7th floor even now, I wonder? You know, guys, this game just reminds me of The Great Gatsby, not so much with Gatsby or Jay Gats, but it reminds me of somebody who's going through a hard time just has to have hope in his life and try to stay happy. I don't know, I just wanted to relate that to something in my life. Alright. Early morning, before the station. While watching the people hurrying by, suddenly that thought occurred to me. That night, after the lights had been turned off, holding onto a book of manga, unable to sleep, I wandered around the ward alone. Normally, wandering around after the lights out would get one scolded badly, but us residents of the 7th floor were given a relative amount of freedom. Well, you know, it makes sense. I mean, if you're a doctor and people are dying, or a nurse and you're taking care of people who are going to die, you gotta give them freedom and just allow them to try to cope with it. And with the lights off, the usual lounge was pitch dark. There I saw her figure. Hey, today you're looking outside. In the darker room there was a response, where that face remained looking beyond the window. Immediately I started talking about what happened during the day. That reminds me, this morning I went all the way to the station. Just like you told me, I went to see Station B.
So,
I see. But the girl's response was no different from the usual, because she was supposed to have gone before. I had thought that there might have been some kind of reaction. But thinking about that and how the girl still remained here, did it mean that she really had no intention of running away?
私、
I will soon be able to go home.
もうすぐ。
Huh? Suddenly, the girl opened her mouth. Words as if she had seen clear through to my heart just now.
でも、
But Next is the
次で
third time
3回目
after
だか
all,
らもう会えないかもね。
so we might not be able to meet anymore. That's right. Most likely when she said that she would be able to go home, she was talking about a temporary discharge. In this place called the 7th floor, being admitted more than 3 times had apparently never happened. Especially, unlike the elderly, when considering the rate of progression of disease. It was even more so for younger patients like us. With that kind of meaning came the words, "We won't meet again."
ね、
Say, which would you choose?
あなたは
Choose what?
どっちで死ぬつもりっ
Which
て
one
こ
would?
と？
Which one you plan on dying at? Dot 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 dot. Suddenly, hearing the word death, my words caught up for just a moment. Well, I haven't thought about it yet.
そう、
I see. Well, you're still
ま
in
だ
your
1
first
回目だも
time.
ん。
The girl spoke in a lonely murmur. Of course, I knew even I couldn't be here forever. Like everyone else, going in and out of the hospital, slowly weakening until someday. In the end, either the 7th floor or surrounded by thin smiles, and come to a choice between those two probably.
私は
I don't want
家
home,
はいだけど
but I don't want here either. Then, what will you do? Dot 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 dot.
別に
Nothing in particular.
どうもしない。
I won't do anything.
自力で歩けるうちに
Well, I'm still able to walk on my own. I'll just go somewhere. Somewhere? You... Even though it was obvious that if one wanted to run away, one could, this girl still remained on the 7th floor. When I thought about that, do you have some other place to go to? Dot dot dot.
あなた
You
私を引き止めたい
want to pull me back? Huh?
それとも
Or perhaps you want to come
一
with
緒
me?
につい
No, I didn't mean it like that.
じゃあ
Then don't ask. While gazing at the window, the girl spoke indifferently. As always, it had been a conversation where she did not even look in my direction. However, just that time, I saw that her usual expressionless profile seemed sad. Talked that the 3rd temporary discharge would be the last, the first time I've come to the 7th floor, and then a girl who would soon face her 2nd time. For me, I still couldn't really feel that things that were happening in reality, but someday, would I also come to make such a face? From before dawn, rain fell, occasionally also changing to either sleet or snow. It lightly continued coming down. Within that, I was in the usual place watching the television. As always, the 7th floor was devoid of people.
面白い
Is it interesting? Nope, boring. The girl came from the other side. Exchanging only those words, she quietly sat in the folding chair next to me. And then today, also, the two of us began gazing at the television. Surely the girl was also the same. There was nothing else to do. Nothing else she could do. Surprisingly, she responded to something on the television. Something the matter? Or something the matter?
別に
Not particularly. The words were the same. Not particularly. But it was a response that was different from usual for the girl. Becoming interested, I turned my eyes to the screen. What was on the screen was some kind of nature scene. On a beautiful hill, trees and flowers merged into a landscape. It sounds like heaven. And focused on the screen were a great many white flowers. Aw, this is sad. There were flowers I remembered seeing before. They resembled the white flowers even now decorating the room by the windows. Are those the same flower? ... Look, aren't they exactly like these? While speaking, I pointed first at the screen and then towards the window.
種類は同じだけど
They're the same kind, but strictly speaking, they're different. Giving just a glance at the flowers by the window, the girl once again returned to gazing at the television while answering. To say the truth, even if she denied that they were the same, to me I didn't know the difference between them. And anyways, for me, whether the flowers were the same or different, it didn't really matter. Instead of that, the girl normally would never participate in conversation. That girl surprisingly continued with her words. That was why I also tried to maintain the conversation. Are you maybe knowledgeable about this sort of thing?
別に
Not particularly. Really? But I can't tell the difference. The white flowers blooming beyond the screen. The flowers in the vases beyond the girl's profile. While vaguely looking at both of them, I continued further with my words. So these are orchids or lilies? ... Look, they've got a whitish color, right? ... Even though I had no interest, I managed to continue speaking. However, the girl soon became like usual and fell silent. With her usual expression, she only gazed at the boring screen. And when I had given up on the possibility that she would take up the conversation and once again began to move my eyes back to the television. Narcissus. Huh?
ナルキッソスよ
They're Narcissus. That's the name, Narcissus. I'm gonna call it that. That's the name of the game, by the way. And there she is, look at her. While answering, for the first time she faced me, swaying her long waist-length hair, while pointing at the flowers shown on the television. She looked at me. And just like the flowers displayed on the screen, there was a white vinyl bracelet wrapped around a wrist with white skin. The first time that I saw that face, I thought I saw the briefest of smiles. Alright guys, I think that was chapter 1. We can go to chapter 2. It's been 13 minutes. We'll go to chapter 2 now. It's going to take a little while to get through. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it to it. January 16th, 2005. A few days passed and the winter became even more serious. Out in the world, it was in the middle of what it was called examination season. As always, the two of us were watching the television today. Gosh, guys, I can't talk very much. It's boring, isn't it?
そうね
Indeed. An exchange that couldn't even be called a conversation. There were days where the two of us only meaninglessly passed that time. Speaking of which, for you, when was it?
今日よ
Today. I see. It's today, huh? Here. The today that we spoke about was what she had told me before, her temporary discharge.
も
We might not
う会えないか
meet
もね
anymore. Ah, that's right. Even if she were to once again return to the 7th floor, just once more was probably the limit. In that time, surely I would also be coming and going between home and this place. For the two of us, the timing needed for us to meet again was unthinkable.
あなた
Did you decide
決ま
that which do you want to die at thing? No, not yet.
そう
I see. She nodded in a slightly lonely way. That expression was probably because she was someone going on their second temporary discharge. Well, I have yet to realize things had not been given my first temporary discharge from the doctors. That reminds me, in the end, did she decide on her own answer for herself? Pitter patter.
説明支度できたわよ。
Would he be? Satsumi, the arrangements are done. Coming here and speaking with some older lady. Most likely it was the girl's mother. To me, since I was sitting next to her, the mother bowed her head slightly.
じゃあ
Well, it's about
そろ
time
そろ
we'll
行
be
くけど
going.
良
Are
い
you
わ
ready?
ね。
On.
それでは
Well then,
失礼します。
excuse us. Once again, giving me a small bow, the lady made to leave the place. And then she stretched out her hand to the girl. That was daughter. Dot 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 dot. But the girl didn't make to leave the place. Even when her mother tugged on her hand, for some reason, she didn't make it to stand from the folding chair.
どうかしたの？
What's
説
wrong?
明
Satsumi?
少し
It hurts a bit. Huh?
苦しいって
Hurts?
どこ？
Where? Your chest? Your stomach?
胸
Chest.
ちょっと待ってなさ
Wait
い。
here. I will
すぐに
call the
先生呼んで
doctors
くるから。
now. Pitter patter. In a rush, the slapping sound of guest slippers rang out, and the lady ran towards the nurse's station. Left in that place was a girl still hunched over in the folding chair, and me. Her condition, or its progression, I knew absolutely nothing about. The things that I knew were her name was Satsumi, blood type O, only the things that were on the white bracelet. However, we were residents of the 7th floor, and at the least she was worse than me. Say, until the doctor comes, want to lie down there? As I spoke, I pointed to the couch. It was something that was placed in a corner of the room from before. Look, I'll support your back. Dot 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 dot. It's nothing. I'm already fine. With just that reply, she quickly stood up on her own. Hey, you! Don't strain yourself. Faster than I could finish quickly, she walked out into the hall. Night, after the lights were put out. As always, holding a book of manga, unable to sleep, I wandered around the hospital. And then, with the lights off, was a pitch-dark lounge. There, I found her figure. Yo, you're here again? What's wrong? You feeling bad again?
別に
Not particularly. While looking out the window, that was all the girl replied. In the end, it seemed that the girl's temporary discharge had been postponed. With that, I didn't know when the next opportunity would be, but most likely the postponement was not in a few days, but weeks. Say, I'm just wondering, but today you were faking sickness? ... Well, the term faking sickness itself might have been a bit strange, since after all, we couldn't really be said to be in a normal condition. The important thing is you didn't want to go on temporary leave.
意味が
I don't understand your meaning. Well, when you won't have any more after, right? ... To that question she remained silent and gave no reply. From before she had repeatedly asked me which place I planned to die in. And to that I had not yet decided, while the girl had said that she didn't like home or the 7th floor. You really don't have another place to go, do you?
だったら
So, what about it? No, nothing. In the usual lounge, now pitch dark. As always, without even looking my way, the girl sat looking out the window. Even though it was still 11 o'clock in this place, called the hospital, most of the lights were already out. This place was where ordinary and extraordinary days met. Moreover, we were residents of the 7th floor. Already we could choose nothing outside of the 7th floor and home. From the dark 7th floor window, the girl continued looking out at the outside world, the ordinary world. Still, the buildings and houses shone brightly with light. The roads home were filled with the figures of people hurrying home. I, myself, had only somewhat realized my situation, but already I was a resident of the 7th floor, a person of the extraordinary world. Probably, I was already unable to return to the other world. The me, whose time had stopped. Numerous seasons, white overcast skies, passed without even the need to exchange words with anyone. In the beginning, from the window I watched lively children go to school, people walking quickly. When I tired of that, I always watched the television. There was nothing else to do, nothing else I could do. Even if outside the window it was snowing, the screen had the sun. Without cold, heat, or pain, a dream would spread before my eyes. I sought peace and imaginations. I only greatly increased my knowledge, simply accumulating more and more meaningless shriva. At some point, the things shown on the television lost their reality. Next, in books, in games, and then family. Finally, even my own body, as if watching some stranger, I lost the ability to understand it as real. That was why, when I came to the 7th floor, I wasn't surprised. If I closed my eyes, always, the world would disappear. That's why I thought I was fine with it. Made myself think I was fine. And soon, I would be discharged a second time. The next time I came here, I might not be able to walk on my own. Even though I knew that, I felt my unresisting self to be wretched. I felt myself, who didn't even have a destination, to be ridiculous. Gosh, that is just unbelievably sad. Can you imagine living a life where you can feel your body stopping and not working right? I can't even imagine that life. Like, just trying to imagine what that's like. Like, your brain is there, it's working perfectly, but your body is not. You can't do things right, and that's just impossibly hard.
時間を止め
Stopping time, stopping my heart, making a large scar on my chest.
それでも
And even so,
22
even though I
年
had
も生き
lived
てきたら
22 years, I thought it
哀
was
れだと思っ
pathetic.
た
January 19th, 2005, the 7th floor. After a few days more, the cloudy days ended yesterday, and the high winter sky spread wide. Surprisingly, my father came to visit. In the beginning, he had a pained look on his face. Well, to be fair, as a father, I can't imagine watching my kid die. I mean, I don't have kids of my own, but just imagining watching your kids go through that much pain and suffering and knowing that they're going to die, that's got to be really hard on him, too. However, he said something about my insurance. At that time, his eyes weren't sad. Well, I have to talk a bit with the doctor. Saying that, my father went down to the hall. He seemed to be heading to that place from before, the gloomy conference room. Once again, I was alone in the hospital room. With nothing to do, I stretched my hands out to the weekly magazines bought for me for the store. They were there along with the fruits and juice that he always brought when visiting. Next to the basket with fruit inside, just in front of the melons that I hated, keys. What came into view were car keys. ... Shining silver keys. It was the coupe father so proud of, with the interior he apparently had modified. Before I had asked on a whim to borrow it and had been quickly turned down, the keys to that car, and in my pajamas chest pocket, that driver's license. That day, even though it had lost its debut, I had continued to carry that license. It was proof of my once ordinary days. Clack. What happened to the music, guys? That music is just so beautiful, and now it's gone. Silently, I grasped the keys. I just went and did it. Even I didn't know the exact reason why. Simply, I just did that. It was like watching a single scene on television somewhere. Then, taking the few days' worth of medicine that I had been giving, I just placed them in a bag from a convenience store and headed down the hall. Oh, don't do this. Oh, hey, good. Music's back. It's living by the nurse's station. I quickly continued to walk towards the elevator. In my right hand, a plastic bag. In my left hand, the car keys. In my chest pocket, the license that I was supposed to have lost its debut hid. In front of the lounge, the next thing that came into sight was the figure of the girl, as always watching the television. Sitting in a cheap folding chair, today she was also boredly looking at the screen. Hey, you, is that interesting?
そう見える。
Does it look like it? Nope, not at all. The usual exchange. Her eyes were, as usual, seemingly looking far away. Well, then, shall we go together? Huh? While showing her the car keys in my hand, I continued speaking. I also don't like home. Dot, 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 dot.
私は
I also don't like the 7th floor. So, shall we go together?
うん。
With that word, the girl stood up from the folding chair. Lightly, her long hair swayed and brushed the tip of my nose. And so the girl also packed a few days' worth of medicine into a plastic bag. Then, the two of us placed the 7th floor behind us. I turned off the boring TV. The shrilly laughing voice of the host was silenced. The two of us, in pajamas, got on the elevator and descended from the highest floor to the first. When we came to the first floor, instead of the entrance for emergencies, normal admittance and discharged, we deliberately left from the outpatient's entrance and headed to the parking lot. Whoosh! The moment we left the building, a cold winter blast struck us in the face. In the parking lot, with few obstructions, the wind felt even stronger. Together, while we carefully peered around searching, we walked around the parking lot. Then, after searching a while, we finally found Dad's car. And there it is. A silver coupe. The car Dad was so proud of that he even changed the interior. Quickly, I inserted the key and opened the door. Click. Look, you can get in.
わかった。
Alright. Slam. I sink myself into the deep driver's seat. For a girl in the passenger seat, because of her height, even if she sat normally, it was difficult for her to see the front. Next, I put the key in my hand into the ignition. As I turned it, stepped on the accelerator. That car looks hilarious because that's where the driver's seat goes on the left side, but the wheels on the right for now. Huh. I thought that was only England's cars. I don't know. It was always like what Training Center had taught. Vroom, vroom. In moments, that sound of the engine reverberated in the interior. After that, release the parking brake and just let go of the clutch. With this, we can go anywhere. Should be able to go anywhere. Well, here we go. The girl girl gave a small nod, and instead of responding, I shifted into second gear, and quietly the car set off. As its chassis wrestled from the unfamiliar clutch, slowly it went on.
揺れるわね。
It's shaky, isn't it? Ah, it's the first time in this car, after all. And while we're on the subject, it's the first time driving since getting my license.
そう。
I see. Eventually it appeared before us, the hospital parking lot exit. Just beyond it was a large road. Freedom. Let freedom ring. Let the whole world sing. I pulled the car out into the lightless intersection. Honk honk. From behind came the sound of car horns blaring at us as we suddenly pulled into the lane. The unfamiliar clutch ground when the gears shifted, while the silver coupe ran in fits and starts. Perhaps the car behind us, especially angry, they didn't seem like they'd stop honking for a while. Even so, without paying them any particular mind, I drove. The feeling of reality was somehow thin. Hey, you!
何？
What? Are you afraid? Dot dot dot.
怖がった方がいい。
Being afraid would be better? No, not really. Still morning. The sun was high. Looking beyond the windshield, the January winter sky was painted so blue. It somehow felt sorrowful. It wasn't like we had a destination. That day, under the winter sky, the car swayed with the unfamiliar clutch. That day, in our pajamas, the two of us aimed for the national road. That winter day, January 19th, 2005, Ibaraki-Mito Highway, around when that so very high sun was turning orange. We continued to drive. Simply at random, the car continued running. Man, new song, alright. And then, when the area turned into an unfamiliar place, I'm stopping for a bit. Finally, I brought the car to a stop. Outside of the city area, by the roadside somewhere, a lonely place that didn't seem to have much traffic. Stopping the car in a place I didn't even know the name of. For now, I started inspecting the interior. If there were things that would even be the slightest bit useful, we had rushed out without any preparation, but I could see that we would be in trouble very soon. While thinking about that, first I searched the dashboard in front of me. There really isn't much, is there? Just a few hundred yen worth of what appeared to be change from the expressways. The rest were just a few books of manga and a disposable camera. Everybody has manga in Japan. It wasn't like we had a destination, but it seemed like the navigation system installed in the car was broken. And also, the amount of money I had was about 8,000 yen. While leaving, I had hurriedly stuffed that much into my pocket. With that, and adding in the change in front of me, I could barely make 9,000 yen. Isn't that like really, really good, or is that like I don't know the comparison between yen and dollars, guys. Of course, it wasn't like I had been expecting to find anything in the car from the start. But with the budget, we'd probably be in trouble really soon. I could definitely believe that we would find decent lodging. Even saying that, I doubt that the girl had any money.
どうかした？
Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. Oh well, it didn't matter. I should have known this from the start. To begin with, it wasn't like we had thought up arrangements or plans before acting. Instead of that, right now I wanted to move. I didn't want to sit still. Under the now darkening sky, once again the silver coup ran. By the way, are you hungry? As I drove, I spoke to the one sitting next to me. Thinking about it, we hadn't eaten since this morning. For now, let's go to a convenience store.
いや、
No. Hey, don't be so picky. Even so, compared to the 7th floor's food, it absolutely has to be better. ... At my words, the girl returned silence. Those downcast eyes, their line of sight was on the pink pajamas that she wore. Ah, now that you say that's right. As I spoke, I looked down at my own clothes. Certainly in those pajamas, wherever we went, we'd stand out too much. It wasn't like there was no problem inside the car either. For now, we had to go do something about the clothes. Making the decision, I turned the wheel from the main road and headed into town. After running a while, the place that we came to was some street I didn't know the name of. Surely it must be near some station, since it was a street where about the number of people could be seen. In a place like this, you'd think there'd be one. While glancing around the area searching, I moved the car on, slightly raising my body in the seat while driving. Ah, found it. In a short while, I spotted a coin-operated laundromat. It appeared quite run down and was in the first floor of a small apartment building. This place might just be perfect. A short distance away from the entrance, I parked the car. Excuse me, guys, I'm yawning. A short distance away from the entrance, I parked the car. Alright, just wait a bit. Huh? Slam. Leaving the girl who was making a puzzled face, I headed to the coin-op laundromat on foot. Just past automatic doors, my nose picked up the scent of bleach and detergent. Inside, it was just as run down as the exterior, filled with old washing machines and dryers. There's no one around. I muttered those words in the empty shop. Rumble. There, raising a low sound while spinning, was a single unit in use. Quickly approaching that machine, I started to check the timer. Huh? It looked like 200 yen has been inserted and it was set for 30 minutes. Also, it had been going for only 5 minutes. Most likely until it was about done, the person was passing time somewhere. With that deduction, once again, from the entrance, I looked around for someone that seemed like that sort of person. Then, making sure that no one was in sight, I placed my hands on that revolving dryer's door and suddenly opened it. Ka-chang! Opened in the middle of a drying cycle, the machine was forced into a stop temporarily. Ignoring the blast of heat and damp air, I took out a mass of half-dry clothes from inside. Then carrying it just like that in both hands, I looked around once more before I put the shop behind me. Click, slam. Ah! Seeing both of my hands filled with laundry, the girl raised a bit with a surprised voice. However, paying no heed to that, I threw them into the back seat. Well, we're going... ... Vroom, vroom! With one hand on the wheel, I eyed the pile of laundry I had thrown in the back. At a glance, there it was all flashy looking. Jeans and sweatshirts. All the sizes seemed to be on the large side. They were still wet, but inside the car, with the heat from the vents, it'd probably be dry soon. Later changed into something you liked. ... For those words also came no particular reply. She simply looked at the pile of laundry. Well, what else could we do?
分かってるわよ。
I know. Even for me, it wasn't like I did this because I liked it. Indeed, the money that we held wasn't like we were sent on an errand with it. However, with what we had on hand now, buying new clothes would have been a tight situation. Because I've been recording for 40 minutes already. I'm going to finish this chapter in this part, unless it goes on for like forever. But, gosh, 40 minutes already. When the face of the moon really came out and we had driven for a while, I stopped the car near some park somewhere. It was most likely some kind of children's park, tucked in the middle of a residential neighborhood. In the middle of that, I began to search through the clothes stolen earlier. Most likely because of the heating in the car, the laundry was totally dry. Looks like it really is all guy stuff. Exactly as when I had glanced at them, it was all gaudy jeans and sweats. Most likely it was someone about my age and size-wise, something close. And then, while still sitting in the driver's seat, I grabbed a pair of suitable jeans and sweatshirt and started to change. Hey, you changed into something suitable too. ... They're all too big. Then you're going to always be in pajamas. ... Alright. With a reluctant reply, the girl took hold of a pair of jeans and opened the door. Hey, where are you going? To change. With just that answer, she began walking towards the restroom that could be seen in the park just ahead. ... Click. Hey, there, that was quick. In moments, the girl returned. The pink PJs that she had been wearing up until now was in her hand, and she had changed into jeans and a white sweatshirt. Well, it's good that you managed to put something on. ... There was no reply. It was something I saw coming. The size was too much and dragged rather heavily on her. Since the jeans were too long, the legs were rolled up a number of times, while the top sweatshirt was in the same way folded over. The PJs were better. Well, don't say that. It's a bit warmer this way. ... In my words, she gave me just the slightest dissatisfied look. I guess something more feminine would have been better, huh? Not particularly. The girl's usual response. Even though I had thought she was dissatisfied with the poor, poofy sweatshirt, soon she returned to being expressionless. And the rain falls. Zah! Suddenly, it started raining. As if it had forgotten how to stop, rain spilled from the cold January sky. Looking from inside the car, countless raindrops on the windshield. One by one, they would grow too big to stick. A number would gather, overflow, and turn into a rivulet. Then, while flowing down, they would involve other rivulets, and flow even more. The two of us just sat gazing at the sort of rain from inside the car. In some parking lot, somewhere, a lonely place in the mountains. Having finished the shopping at a convenience store, we were spending the night. On the menu for each of us, 2 nigiri, 500 milliliters of Pocari, and half an order of fries. It's been a while since having this stuff, huh? With one hand holding the convenience store nigiri, the girl murmured. Thinking about it normally, it wasn't all that splendid, but compared to the food on the 7th floor, it was good enough. And then, when both of us reached out towards the fries, suddenly the girl's hand stopped. Something wrong? Not particularly. While answering, her line of sight turned towards the whitely fogged windshield. There by the roadside, a number of white flowers could be seen. Hope! That's what that represents, I know it. White flowers soaked by the rain. I didn't know whether they were planted by someone or were they naturally there, but those flowers seemed familiar. It's Narcissus. is for Narcissus. Narcissus. They're also called daffodils. Oh, okay. Ah, those were daffodils. I didn't know too much about plants and all, but daffodils I had at least heard the name before. I have too. And also I recalled that even though the girl would normally speak only rarely, she would uncharacteristically join in a conversation on this topic. That's why I went along and continued to speak. And I guess these are also different from those too. Strictly speaking, they're different. They're quite rare things then, aren't they? Not particularly. They're everywhere. Everywhere? Like where? ... For me, it wasn't like I put very much meaning in the statement. It wasn't intended simply from the flow of conversation, as a natural question. And yet, she thought for a moment, then slowly opened her mouth.
西
West. West?
淡路島が有名
Awajishima is famous. Hey, wait. Awajishima? You mean... Just how far away do you think that is from here? For someone who had only just started driving, like me, I couldn't even make a guess. Most likely it was easily around 700 kilometers, and even using the expressways, I couldn't even begin to estimate the time it would take to get there. What are kilometers? I mean, I know miles, man. First thing, considering our funds, it certainly didn't seem enough. Even if we stayed off the expressways and used the smaller roads, the cost of gasoline itself was ominous. Look, don't say unreasonable things now. There's no way we could go to such a place, right? ...
誰が行きたい
Who
の
said anything about wanting to go? Huh?
問われたから
I was asked, so I simply answered. With just that answer, the girl once again gazed beyond the windshield at those flowers. The glass inside the car, cold from the rain, was fogged white. She cast her gaze beyond even that. It wasn't as if I wanted to go there, also. However, it also wasn't as if we had another place to go. Are they going to go? Looks like we're going to find out in the next chapter, because we are finally done with this part. It's been 47 minutes now, and I am sorry for the super long part, guys. I just finished that chapter. The first one within 10 minutes. I wanted to keep going, and it took like a half an hour. So from now on, I'm going to do a chapter per part. I didn't realize this had chapters, I guess. But yeah, I'm loving this game so far, guys. This story is fantastic, and I'm really happy with it. I hope you guys are having a fantastic time watching it. I hope it's not too super boring for you guys, and I know 48 minutes now, I guess, is a pretty long time to start watching just videos of me talking and telling a story, but this story is very good, guys. It's very Great Gatsby-ian, because there are people in it who are just having a hard time, but when they see those flowers, they see hope. And hope is what makes everything so much better, you guys. Hope is what makes the world go round. And without hope, people have nothing. And you know, guys, with that deep sentiment there, it's time for me to head out and go to sleep. It's pretty close to 1:30. I got to get up early in the morning to head over to my new work, to my new job. And I hope that you guys are enjoying these videos as much as I am, because these are just phenomenal, and I'm getting used to talking now, and that's what the whole thing was all about. So guys, thanks so much for watching. This is DAVideo, and I am signing on out of here. Bye, everybody.